You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From Los Angeles, California, and Maria Menounos, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV Spotlight On. Spotlight On is a long-form interview series featuring actors and TV personalities. And now, from the world's #1 TV after-show platform, this is AfterBuzz TV Spotlight On.
Hey guys, I'm Dave Klein, and welcome to AfterBuzz TV Spotlight On. I am joined here today by the one and only Todd Haberkorn.
Hello.
I would list all the things that you might know him from, but there's so many. It's such a long list. I think it's just easier to delve in.
Well, everyone's been so great. The studios, they don't hate it. They let me stay, and they don't kick me out. So I stay and keep doing stuff.
And so you're like, I'll just keep them doing other voices.
I'll do whatever they need, yeah.
Naruto Shippuden, all right, I'll do 4 voices, 5 voices, fine.
I've played an alien frog. I've been a giraffe. I've been an owl. I've been yeah.
Okay, so I gotta ask you, because how did you even get started with voice acting? Was that something you initially thought, I want to be a voice actor? Or did you think I want to be an actor, and then it kind of led to voice acting?
You know, what's so funny is I grew up watching cartoons and being babysat by the television, but it never occurred to me that I could be one of the people doing voices in cartoons. And so I'd been acting since I was 10.
Yeah.
And so I started off in stage, and I studied it, and I majored in it in college, and but stage led to film, which led to TV, which led to voiceover, and never would have imagined that it would have brought me here and put me in such a position where it's such an honor, and I'm so lucky to be able to not only do this and be able to do it for my livelihood for years and years, and hopefully continue to, but be able to reach out and really affect people in the world. Because you go to these events, and all the time people will stand up and say, I was in a really bad place in my life, and this show helped me do this. Or the mother's like, my daughter, like, I'm crazy things. Like, she's like, she almost killed herself, and she's watching the. I mean, we don't even realize it when we're recording it in the booth. We're recording a cartoon, and we're in the adventure of the show. But people are watching these cartoons, and it's really affecting them. So to be a little tiny part of that is great.
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes, like you said, you don't even realize how much it can mean to someone.
Oh, yeah.
And you go to all these conventions. I mean, you're constantly at conventions all the time. And I'm curious, like, what are some of your favorite stories then and fan encounters from these conventions you go to?
Well, they range. There's a huge range of them. I've been doing conventions for a long time, and I've met great people along the way, and people that I'm fans of, meeting Patrick Stewart or William Shatner, or hanging out with David Morrissey from Walking Dead and stuff like that, and Dean Cain, Superman, was a lot of fun. One of the best. I'll tell you recently, a recent story. I was in Seattle recently, and a fan, George, came up to me, and he's always great about. He'll contact me a little bit before, and he goes, what do you like? Do you like this or this? Or I go, this or this? And so I don't do anything beyond answer the question, because it's always a surprise. Well, he came up to me and he says, this person only has only ever done one convention. That's the only one they'll ever do. Here is something I got for you. And it was a headshot of Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
And Nancy Cartwright. He went and stood in her line.
Oh, wow.
And waited for hours to meet her. And on the top it says, can I join Team Haberkorn? Hi, Todd. Love, Nancy Cartwright. And he got that for me. And
That's incredible.
It's an amazing gift. And that was a wonderful experience from the fan perspective. And for me, a great... I was being picked up by our driver at the airport, and in the front seat was one of the guests. And I was in the back seat. I'd just gotten in. And then they go, hi, my name's Kevin. And I was like, oh, no, your name's not Kevin. It's Batman. It was Kevin Conroy sitting in the front seat. And I was like, oh, my God, it's Batman. Meeting him, meeting Mark Hamill, the Joker. I mean, it's an amazing ride. It's these experiences are it's just an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, and I'm sure going to these conventions, that's got to be the greatest thing, is being able to get in touch with the people who you really do influence and who really love you. And I'm wondering, though, then on the flip side, what are some of the more crazy encounters?
Well, sometimes you get stalkers every now and then. You get because when they watch the show, a lot of the fans are so sweet. They take the time to save up for the hotel and go travel to the convention and cosplay and take that weekend, that one slice of their time for that month that they'll never get back for that year, and they give it to us and they come see us. But there are times when people will faint and
Really?
they have to call an ambulance, or people will scream and they have to be restrained, or people will, I mean, anything you can imagine. Showing up at my door in the hotel and leaving some tribute of like fruit and like food and things like that.
I'm glad it's just fruit and food.
Yeah.
You might have to be careful what's in the fruit and food, but
That's right. Well, I ate it on a Friday and then I woke up and it was Sunday. So I need to go back and investigate.
and
that.
you're like, I'm not sure what adventures I had during the middle of that.
Yeah, I still had my pants on. So
Well, that's good.
it.
That's
Yeah,
a
there we
good thing. Yeah, that's definitely a pro.
Yeah.
So when you're doing all this voice work, I'm curious, like, how do you work on your range, and what characters have been the hardest for you, and your actual range, your natural range?
For me, the characters that are the most difficult are the super, super deep dudes. So, for example, playing... I played this character named Joseph in a show called Blast Riders. Very, very deep role. On top of that was fighting, a lot of yelling. Those are tricky to do. Natsu from Fairy Tail's hard because that's a lot of yelling and it's a lot of fighting right here.
Oh, that's interesting because his voice sounds, to me, it sounds kind of a lot more like your natural voice.
Yeah, it's you would think. And
Yeah.
so when I get in there, it's like I take my vocal cords and I go, listen, fellas, we're gonna go through some stuff here for the next couple hours, and I want you to be with me. And so I lose my voice typically after each session because these yells, you just can't not do it full,
Yeah.
full tilt boogie. Another role in the Tales of Exilia series, the RPG series, I play a character named Rowan, who is this 60s, 70-year-old man. That's tricky because of the way you have to manipulate just vocal placement and things like that. As far as developing new characters, I'm always looking around. I'm always listening and kind of absorbing and trying to log things, for future use.
Right, and when it comes to developing a character, now at least for animes, it comes to us in, they've already done the Japanese dub to it, so do you use that voice and kind of listen to any of them ever for inspiration from how they play the character, or do you like a blank slate?
It's an approximation of kind of what we try to hover around. It really depends on the director because
Yeah.
sometimes the director's like, we want to stick to that or we want to go away from that. That's why it's a lot of fun and a little scary to do prelay, like working on. There are some shows coming up. For example, Ever After High, which
Yeah.
is a Mattel show, like from the guys that do Monster High and stuff. That's all prelay, so we get to do whatever it is we want to in there. We do a lot of takes of it, but I kind of like the structure. Like when I play Grand Theft Auto, okay, it's great. You can do whatever you want, but I like missions. I like being told, okay, I'm the kid that, like, when the Legos came, I build what the instructions tell me. I don't branch off and build like a flower monster. No, I build the DeLorean.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Grand Theft Auto never really clicked with me because I like having that structure as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what to do. There's too much.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
too much. I need something to figure out. But you were talking about video games as well, and you do voicing for video games as well as anime, and pretty much the works of anything.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious, what are the differences that you've noticed between doing voice work for video games and anime, if anything?
Well, with anime, you've got to stick to a structure of fitting the flaps.
Right.
And it's kind of already done in a way for you, but you get to kind of play in that structure. With video games, it's a lot more rapid fire. It's a little more disconnected because you are saying your lines out of context. They're in a big spreadsheet. So it's like all your contextual lines, then all your fighting reactions, then all your deaths, then all your... And so that can be... Like when I worked on Call of Duty, the session was so short comparatively to these other, like, I'll record Fairy Tail for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Well, the video game sessions are typically 4 or 2 or sometimes 1 hour, but there's so much yelling that you blow your voice out and like grenade, you can't maintain that forever.
Yeah, I'm sure like Super Street Fighter 4, you were Yoon.
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
there's like a lot of ha, and things like that.
Yeah. And
yeah.
so you, the differences there are just, one of the cool things about doing video games is that I'm a big gamer, more so than a watcher of anime. Because
Yeah.
I've been doing, you do anime a lot, and when you come home, you don't want to.
Right.
It's the kind of, you just want to take a little break. But anime is wonderful and very imaginative. But I'm a gamer, and so going in and working on like a Street Fighter or a Silent Hill game or World of Warcraft or something, and just being able to talk to the director and be like, I totally, yes, Diablo, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Okay, well, speaking on that then, what are there any roles that you would really love to get in the future in terms of both gaming and anime that you're like, wow, I would love if I could get this sort of role, or like a game franchise you would love to be on?
I'd love to be in a Batman or a Superman franchised game, or hopefully not a remake of Superman 64.
Yeah, we don't need that one. No.
Sadly, I'll tell you this. I went on eBay and I bought a pristine copy of Superman 64 in the box and everything.
Yeah.
Just because it's so horrible.
No, you know what? You need that. You need Atari. Or not
Yes.
Atari. ET. You need ET. You need ET. You need all
Yeah.
those just to have them be like, it's the unoriginal.
I
It's the
paid
original.
so much for it, but it's like I want it because it's so horrible. But yeah, being a part of those, I've auditioned for all of those, and Spider-Man, I've Daredevil, Ghost Rider, all that stuff. And it's, a long time ago when I first moved to LA, it took me a while to kind of get in the mindset of you just got to forget after you audition. You got to forget it.
Yeah.
Because if you latch onto each one, you're gonna kill yourself over this. So when I do the audition, I forget about it and I move on. But I remember doing those. Mr. Freeze, Alfred, the Bat Computer, all this kind of stuff. I've done it all, but there are 1,000 different reasons for not getting something. I mean, it could be that you just suck, or could it be that you sound too much like this guy, or maybe they wanted something different. They wanted older, younger, this or that. So there's so many different reasons why you do get something or you don't get something. So I'm like, I don't even want to think about it. Just call me if I get it. So.
No, and I think that's great advice. And speaking on advice for anyone, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who look up to you and think, wow, I want to do voice acting. I want to do what you do, Todd. Can you give me some advice on that?
I often tell them if they're in my same range, find something else to do.
Because you got it.
I'm there. But I will say, I try to tell them and stress to them education. They gotta, a lot of times, I think with a lot of shows that, like your Beverly Housewives of this, or your Kardashians this or that, it shows them that they can get to a place of fame and celebrity and wealth by just being.
Right.
Whereas where what I think it's more, this kind of work is akin to like a good blues guitarist. Like you see them up there just riffing away, and you're like, man, they must have woken up and known how to do that. No, it's knowing all the progressions, it's knowing the chords, it's practicing hours and then making it look easy on stage. So that's why I stress to them, go get that education, because maybe what they find out through exploring this industry, that maybe they don't want to do voiceover as much. Maybe they want to be an engineer or a director or a writer. Who knows? But you've got to kind of dip your toe into those things to figure it out.
Yeah, and speaking on which, I think one of the things that's always blown me away with voice actors is the range that a lot of them have. And I'm like, I have no idea how you can move the placement of your voice that much, because that's control. I just don't have that control.
I used to call my best friend's mom and be him on the phone and have like 5-minute conversations, and then she'll say something that I'm like, oh crap, I wasn't expecting that, and then it'll give me away. But yeah, I love playing around. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to be in my room and do impressions of the entire Indiana Jones trilogy, just every character, the Star Wars trilogy. I have a buddy that we totally would do that, and to our little Home Alone talk boys and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just been something that's been a part of my life forever, and God, to be able to grow up and do it I'm so lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's something for you kind of came naturally then, and especially ending up in this industry sort of was a natural fit, if that's what you did. Like, I never did that when I was a kid. I wasn't like, let me sound like Indiana Jones.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I felt like, I think when I knew that I wanted to be in this business for good is when I would go to 12-hour rehearsals for a play, and then I was tired, but I was ready to come back the next day. Whereas my first job, when I was, 15 or 16 years old, I was bagging groceries at some grocery store. After an hour, it felt like 10. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be a professional
grocery store bagger. Yeah.
I know that, check that off. So, but yeah.
I think that is the true tell when time flies and you're like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. And it's really, and there's just so many different art forms out there. And when I see these people that do this amazing artwork at these events, that's something that I can't even wrap my mind around it. Or people like I gotta say, this studio, glorious. This is a very well built, and it reminds me.
Thank you very much.
Oh my God, yes, and it reminds me of. It makes me think of our DP for this web series that we work on. He would come in here and he would look at this. He's an architect major also, and he would look at this and he goes, "Okay, that's that dimension, and that's that." And how his mind thinks about that. I just come in here and think like, "Wow, this is a great looking studio," and he would be like, "Okay, the TV is 7 inches." Like, can he? I just don't. I can't.
Yeah,
wrap my
and I will
mind around
totally
that.
take credit for that, even though I had nothing to do with the creation of the studio. So thank you for that.
There we go. Yeah.
But you talked about how you also did theater and a lot of theater
Yeah.
work, and now you're doing more and more live action. You're kind of really breaking into the internet when it comes to live action with Star Trek Continues.
Yeah.
And how did you end up on that series?
Well, what I did was Vic Mignogna I've known for many years, and we've been friends / rivals in the business for a long time. He's the Magneto to my Xavier, I guess. Or
I like how you're automatically the good guy in this equation.
the Luther to my Clark. But he approached me about the series, and I knew what a huge fan he was of Star Trek. And I knew that anything that he was going to do with that series was going to be good. Not because of anything I would do to it or anything,
Yeah.
but because he is so proficient with that knowledge and so good at filmmaking and being... we went back and forth in a little Tribute Wars thing where we made films and kind of ranked on each other and stuff. And he's so good at it. And so I knew it was going to be good. And so he approached me about being Spock. And so, but he wanted me to audition. And so what I did was I got with my buddy, and we shot. Vic sent over sides from the original series that we were to reproduce with just do the lines. And typically, when you send in an audition tape, you're in a chair, you sit down, you read the lines, you have someone else there. Well, I said, let's kick it up a notch. Let's shoot it on green screen. And so I got the makeup, the ears, the costume. I said, let's shoot it on green screen, and let's put me in the original series doing those lines. So we shot it at the same angles and everything.
Yeah.
And so then when you watch the episode back, these clips, when Shatner's talking and he cuts over to Spock, it cuts over to me. I'm in the original episode. And so I sent that to him, and then I guess he...
So this is how you get an audition. This is how you win an audition. That's brilliant. That's such a good idea. I'm like, let me take notes on this. Like, this is how I need to get some roles now.
Yeah, it was fun, and you know, the sets, Star Trek Continues, it blows me away what's happening with this. It's all done as a labor of love. Everyone just comes aboard because they want to work on something good, and they want to work on something related to Star Trek. And the people that I've met and the people that we've had in our second episode, we had Lou Ferrigno there.
Yeah.
He got green again. He hasn't been green in like 30 years, and he got green for our episode. The sets are amazing. We're shooting on wonderful cameras. We have jibs and cranes and dollies and all this kind of stuff. And the architect, the DP, took the original blueprints and he extrapolated the figures, and we recreated the exact soundstage in this 10,000 square foot facility close to where The Walking Dead shoots.
Yeah.
And we're out there shooting these episodes, and we're about to actually go to...
So you're in Georgia then?
Yeah,
shooting.
we're in
Okay.
Georgia.
Yeah.
And we fly down there for 10 days. And Vic typically will help write, direct, star, and produce this thing. I mean, he loves it, and that's the only way it could happen. And so we just wrapped on our third episode, which is a continuation of a revisit of the Mirror universe, the Mirror universe.
Yeah.
And we're actually flying over to Sydney, Australia, to debut the third episode. So they're going to get it before the U.S. gets it.
That's awesome. That's a cool place to get to go to.
Oh yeah, we're excited, and
Yeah.
actually Chris Doohan, who is the original Scotty's son, is our Scotty. He's going to be there. We've got Grant Imahara from MythBusters as our Sulu. In our second episode, we had Daniel Logan, who was little Boba Fett in the prequels. He was
Yeah.
in our episode. I mean, he gets these people involved, and it's great.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I think, especially with the internet, what you said, where since it's a labor of passion, people really latch onto that, and you can just tell when you watch it.
Oh yeah, it's because no one wakes up and says, I want to get up at 5:30 in the morning and sit in the makeup chair for 4 hours, unless it's for Star Trek.
Yeah.
But that's the name of the game.
No, that's like, I don't know. That's one thing I'm happy for what I do. I'm glad I don't have to worry about makeup chair stuff. Like that's.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like
You're
fun.
very lucky.
Yeah. So speaking of passion, something that I saw that you did was you performed with Johnny Young Bosch with his band,
Oh.
and you were playing guitar and singing. And I'm assuming then, do you play guitar? Is that something you've done for a long time? I mean, you played guitar on the stage.
Yeah,
but yeah.
We what that was Johnny produced my album along with Polo, his lead guitarist. They
Yeah.
produced my first album. I didn't want to produce an album actually,
Really?
at all. I just played guitar and I did songwriting for me. It was more of just a private thing, and he heard some of it and he goes, "Dude, you should totally make an album. I'll produce it." So thus began this year-long expedition to do this. And there's some clips online of our concert in Atlanta that we did, and yeah, they played on it. And actually just today, the album was supposed to come out, it came out a couple days ago, but there were some snafus with some background vocal stuff that I wanted to fix.
Yeah.
And so it's officially out today.
So today,
Yeah.
right now, go buy Todd Abercorn's album.
Yeah, that's right. And it'll be on iTunes coming up. But what I think is, what I personally like about the album is that for me, it's scary. That's what I like, is that
Yeah.
it's kind of scary for me, because I didn't write these songs for anybody else. I wrote them over the course of many years about different points in my life and kind of put them all together, and we'll see what people think. This next album that I'm going to start working on is, I know it's going to be for public consumption.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that's going to kind of tweak it. Or I don't know. If
Well,
it'll
I
be
guess
good or
it's also
bad.
different because you're so used to ensemble
Yeah.
productions. This is
Yeah.
very much more like, this is just you.
Yeah, and I hope it'll be good. God, we'll see.
So I guess then, if you've been working on it for a year, was that, I mean, I know you knew John, or I'm assuming you knew Johnny Young
Yeah.
Bosch before Tenkai Nights, but was that because you work with him so much on Tenkai Nights?
Yeah, we became buds.
I don't know if you were actually in the recording studio at the same time. You're probably not, but
Well, we crossed paths.
Yeah, yeah.
As he's leaving or as I'm leaving, we cross paths.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we were buddies beforehand, meeting at conventions, and we just have similar histories, and we worked together on a lot of shows, and so we became buds. And Johnny's a great guy, hard-working dude. I mean, deserving of everything that comes his way. He's such a nice guy, and I'm honored to have him on this album.
yeah. Now, I feel like something I'm sure we should probably talk a little bit about is anime, since
Yeah.
that's what you're kind of known for. So between shows like, not Tenkai Nights, that's sort of an anime, but not really. Fairy Tail, Soul Eater, The Gray Man. What's been your favorite one to be a part of?
Well, I've got to say Fairy Tail because I got my first tattoo because of the show.
Oh, wow.
And so, this is what Natsu.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's got. Well, I told the fans because a lot of times.
See, if only you were wearing a sleeveless shirt, I would have
That's-
known. I would have seen
see,
it.
I need
I've
to-
been like Fairy Tail.
Damn it!
Got
I should have done it. They with Fairy Tail, I told the fans, I go, if you guys support it enough and we do 100 episodes of this show, I'll get the tattoo. And part of me thought it's not going to happen. It's not
Yeah.
gonna, 100 episodes is a lot of episodes, and so sure enough, they did it. They did it, and so that we finished recording the 100th episode. The director and I and a camera crew went to a tattoo parlor, did it, and the director was like, you know what? I've been saying I don't want to get one for this whole time. I'll do it. So he got
Wow.
one too. So we both got it.
And so you're also going to start busting out the wizard powers now, right? So it's something I should
They're
probably back off.
recharging right now. They're
Okay,
solar
okay.
powered, so when we're indoors, it doesn't work as well. But yeah.
And maybe if you had a little more food to consume.
Oh, God, fire, food, everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what I told them, now I said this before I knew we were going to do this. I said, if we get to 175 episodes, I'll breathe fire. Not thinking we would even get that far. The next day, they go, hey, we're going to 175 episodes. So I was like, why did you tell me? It's because you can burn your face
You're
off.
like, I meant 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I feel like I have to do something at each milestone. So.
Yeah, well, it's amazing how well the show's been doing, and
Yeah,
I remember when it
it's-
first came out as a manga. I was kind of I was a little confused because I used to read manga a lot in high school, and this for me it came out as a manga to America in high school, and I was like, what is that weird white guy with the carrot nose?
Blue.
Yeah. So, but then when it first came, that was what was on the cover. I'm like, I don't know about this one, but it turns out it's really good, so I actually enjoy
Yeah,
it.
it's the creator, the manga creator, also creates the anime. So
Yeah.
there's a congruency there that's really cool. We met him at New York Comic Con a couple years ago, and he was so nice, very very nice guy. He loves Blue, and I love Blue too.
Yeah, it's got to be cool to get on a series like that, though, because I'm sure, as you said, you got an audition for so many things. It's got to be nice to latch onto a project that's good, that's legitimately good, that you can look and be
Yeah.
like, this is a good show.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm a part of this one.
Yeah, they do such a great job with that. It's the role I wanted, and I got it. Yay.
Yeah.
It was. and to be doing it, we've been doing it a couple of years now. It's amazing.
So what for you then, as far as animes go, is the first role where you were truly excited? The first time that you were like, wow, I can't believe I landed this role.
I think it was actually the very first time, because I was like, wow, let's see if this
So is that
fits.
initial D?
The very first role.
Unless IMDb's a liar.
The very first role was this tiny part in a show called Peach Girl. Tiny part. And actually, I take that back. The most exciting part was the second gig, because that meant they didn't hate the first one.
There
That's
you go.
what it
There
was.
you go.
And then just being able to feel comfortable doing that and getting into the Funimation family, because we've all known each other for 7-8 years now, and it really is a family, the good and the bad of that statement. We're all up in each other's stuff. and
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So I'm kind of curious, just for me personally. The first anime I watched that you were in was Ouran High School Host
Oh.
Club, because my girlfriend at the time was obsessed with that show, and she's like, "You have to watch this show." And I was like, she also really liked yaoi, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
This kind of looks like one of those yaois that you like a lot. I don't know about this one. It was fun, but like when you first got that, it's kind of it's a comedy, but it's also a little
Yeah.
it sort of is a bit yaoi-ish. So like, what did you think when you got that one?
It redefined brotherly love for me.
Okay, all right.
I was like, wow. If I had a brother, I guess that's how I would have to behave with them.
Yeah.
It's a cool show. It was very imaginative, and of course Vic loves that show.
Yeah.
I love Usa-chan and little Honey Senpai and all that. They were a lot of fun. It was great to do that show. We debuted it in at Anime Expo actually.
Yeah.
And that was a blast. Being
Yeah,
part
and
of
that one also had a huge fan base too, so that had to be fun.
We still get asked about it.
Yeah.
Just this past weekend at Dallas Comic Con, asked about it a lot, and so it endures. I mean, that show, we debuted that in like 2008, and
Yeah.
people are still talking about it. So wow.
It is amazing, like all these projects that you've done. I mean, for 10 years, 20 years, people are still going to be asking you about these roles, which has got to be exciting.
Well,
or maybe scary. Maybe it's scary. They'll be like, can you do this voice again for me? You're like, that was 20 years ago.
Well, they do ask. They go, "What's your favorite line from like Ouran?" And I go, "I saw that script one time for like 10 seconds, 6 or 7 years ago," and so it's hard to remember it all. But yeah.
So Todd, what is your favorite line from Ouran?
the one where I talk, yeah, that was a
I'm
good one.
so disappointed. This is why I came to this interview. I just want to know
Let
that
you
one
down,
question.
man, left and right. Damn it.
Are you ever worried when you do conventions that you're gonna disappoint someone when they ask a question like that? Like, man, that's the question they had for me, and I couldn't answer it.
I try to find hopefully a fun way to get out of it if I
Yeah.
don't know the answer. Usually they ask pretty good questions. There's some that there are odd requests in there, but usually they're pretty good questions.
Okay. All right. That's
Yeah.
a good way to get around it. So something we were talking about before we actually started this interview is that you actually work in a studio all the time doing work outside of just the voice acting.
Yeah.
So is that something that as you grew into this business, you're like, you know what, I want to learn about everything that goes into it? Or how did you start working on managing your own studio?
Well, I'm a big gearhead. I love technology and I love getting
Yeah.
the latest and greatest tech. And I needed a studio for me to record because I'm in it every day, doing whether it's an audiobook or auditions or
Oh,
pickups.
so you do audiobooks as well there?
Oh yeah, and I do them at other places, but I get some at my studio. I go to another studio in Hollywood, and sometimes I'll go to Woodland Hills to Random House or
Yeah.
something like that. And then word kind of got around that I had a studio, and then people just kind of start coming. And so we've recorded Attack on Titan there. We've recorded Hetalia or Fairy Tale or lots of different properties there.
I'm a big Attack on Titan fan, so I'm like, what? I didn't know
Oh,
that.
yeah,
I actually
right
do the
on.
after show here for Attack on Titan.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I just had Matt Mercer in.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
Who plays Levi. He was
Yeah.
just in. So, yeah, it's great. And I just love gear. I love getting new gear and playing around with toys and stuff like that. So that's my thing.
So audiobooks, do you actually do voices for audiobooks, or do you just do the studio work for that?
I do voice. I narrate.
Right. So that's
yeah.
I've listened to it. I actually went to a voice actor workshop and they were talking about getting an audiobook. I'm like, man, that's a lot of pages to just
Dude.
go off. How is that?
It's a discipline.
Yeah.
It's focus. So for example,
Like, if you do you give yourself mess ups and then just do re-records over it, or do you literally try to do an entire chapter without messing up?
Oh, you're gonna mess up. I mean, I think I've heard of a tale of one guy that can go 7 pages without messing up. That's incredibly rare.
Okay.
Well,
this teacher I had was like, yeah, you just do a full chapter. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
That's rare. So typically, you have a director, you got an engineer. If you mess up, they just stop. They go to the closest punch-in point, and you just pick it up from there. But when you're narrating, it's hard. I mean, sometimes I did this series of books called from R.E. McDermott called the first one was like Deadly Straits and then Deadly Coast. It's a maritime thriller. So it takes place. It's kind of like a Tom Clancy type novel.
Yeah.
But it takes place all over the world. So not only am I narrating as the narrator, I'm having to do voices of guys and girls that are from, the UK. They're from the Middle East. They're from Spain. They're from, all over, on the same page sometimes. And so you just go with it. But yeah.
Yeah, I like to listen to the Game of Thrones audiobook, and that's like over hundreds of voices that he's doing. And I'm just like, how can he remember? I don't understand how he remembers each voice.
Oh, it's you take notes. If it's something like that, I mean, God, I ask for books like that sometimes, but then I'm like, maybe I don't want a book like that because it's so extensive, and at a certain point, you only have so many female voices you could do. You gotta,
right?
But it's in an 8-hour day, because typically there's a company I work for through Amazon. I'll fly out to Michigan to go work on their books. Well, that's a 3-hour time difference, and they like to start at 8:30 in the morning. So that's 5:30 for me.
Yeah,
so they're there, and you go 8 hours of recording. So you try to get 125 pages of spoken word done that day. I mean, it's hard work.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
So, of all the different forms of voice work, or even acting work, because you also do acting, as we talked about with the Internet, Star Trek Continues, and also you've done film as well. What is your favorite to do, or what are you usually the most excited to get to do?
I love, gosh, it's hard because I love it all. But to do film, I love doing film. I don't know, just growing up watching movies and seeing that magic on screen, I love being a part of it. And I love, there was this movie I did with Laura Bailey years ago where I had to have a body cast done because I was like this demon with all this makeup on.
Yeah.
And they covered my body. It's 4 hours of makeup and contact lenses.
So is this The Collector that you're talking
This
about?
was called Dusk.
Okay.
This is a movie
Oh,
called
wait, no,
Dusk.
The Collector, you're a policeman. Sorry.
Yeah. And we shot for that movie. We shot a ton of stuff for that movie, and then they cut it down to like this quick little. But we were freezing our asses off in Louisiana. It was so cold that night that when the rain hit our jackets, it immediately froze.
So you voice actors, you don't know how good you have it. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah,
That's right. And they had one heater for everybody that was like a jet engine turbine that like fired up like 15,000 BTUs or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was so cold. But it was cool to see that stuff, and then hanging out with the crew and watching the front of the house explode, and it was great.
So, are you hoping with the success that Star Trek Continues has been having that maybe that'll lead to more film roles?
I'd like it to. What's funny is before I moved to LA, everyone was like, all the casting directors said, "Oh, when you go to LA, they're gonna love your look." And I can't. I don't. It's like my friends are like, "How do I get into voiceover?" And I'm like, "How do I get into on camera out here?"
Yeah.
And so it's a weird.
I guess sometimes it's like since you're known for something, they're like, "Oh, well, we'll call Todd because we need a voice."
Yeah. I think it's trying to show them and bust out and take a chance, Whereas like it's so funny what Hollywood will take chances on. Like they'll give. I think there's a big movie coming out now that it's like first-time director is manning this $200 million project, but it's like, well, I just want you to take a chance and just let me audition for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is amazing sometimes. It's like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It really is a lot of it. Really is chance and luck, which
it's who you know, it's chance, it's luck, it's talent, it's it's all those things. I mean, there are times when I've sat in the casting room when someone goes, "Oh, well, that person reminds me of my ex-wife, so I don't want him. I don't want to use him."
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure that it really is. That's part of it, which sucks. Yeah, but I'm glad you can say that. I'm sure there are a lot of people listening who are like, who really do want to do voice acting. That's even with voice acting. I'm sure it's also they sound like my ex-wife. So
exactly.
Like Todd, you sound like my ex-wife.
I know, and I gotta see that's that feminine quality that not a lot of people have, but I do because I'm a man. Wait.
Yeah. That's why the kind of feminine male Orin High School.
That's why that worked.
That's why that totally worked.
That's a wild culture, man.
But it's absolutely amazing to me how much your range of work that you've done. You really do it all. It's like now you have an album that's released today.
Yeah.
You do animes, you do audiobooks, you do live acting, you do video games. You really do the entire range, and that's amazing.
Well, thank you. I love it all. I feel like if I have been given these opportunities and the chance to do this, if I didn't do that, it would be disrespectful. So
Yeah.
I feel like I got to make the most of every minute. You know.
No, and I'm sure for any fan of yours, it's got to be cool to see too. Like,
Oh,
oh wow,
wow.
oh my God, it's Todd again. But I mean, that's cool. It's exciting to see that.
Well, I hope they like it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and
Hey,
it's
thank
been
you
a
for
pleasure
having
having
me.
you. And
Yeah.
thank you guys for listening. And once again, if you want to find me, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at the Dave Klein. That is Klein.
All right. Take care, guys.
And Todd, why don't you say where they
Oh
can
my
find
gosh.
you?
Okay. Twitter, it's at Todd Habercorn or at Team Habercorn on Twitter. There
All
we
right,
go.
guys, and we will see you another time. Thank you guys so much for joining.
Take care.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.